Don't hold your breath, I'm still thinking. Don't hurt your head, I'm still dreaming.
I'm really happy to be sitting here today with a very unique group of people today. I'm sitting with a company called Clark & Company. And what you can't see right now is Clark & Company is actually made up of 3 people. It's a music band. And what you also don't know is they're all siblings. And what you also don't know is they're triplets on top of it. So with me, I've got Simon, Sophie, and Cooper Clark. And really happy to have you guys here with me today.
Thank you.
So as I mentioned, this is the Dream, Believe, Do interview, where we like to talk to people about a dream that they had and what they did to achieve it and how they might try to accomplish that. And I'd like to know a bit more about where did the idea for Clark & Company come from?
Well, let's see. So way back in middle school, I would say, that's kind of when we started getting interested in music.
We've always
loved music.
The beginning or the beginning?
We were born. No, I'm kidding. We've grown up with good music. My dad has good taste in the music, so we grew up with like Bob Dylan, Tom Petty, Rolling Stones, all that kind of stuff. So we've always kind of liked that. So in middle school, we started listening to that stuff a lot more and kind of, turned away from like the mainstream stuff because we're middle schoolers and we're trying to be different. But actually, Cooper and Simon were the first to get involved and actually start playing that music.
Yeah.
I mean, we all took piano lessons and all that when we were 8 and stuff, and the boys hated it, and I guess I liked it more than them, but we all kind of, it was interesting. We were all in one room playing piano at the same time, so we all 3 had a lesson at the same time, which was
pretty chaotic.
Yeah, a little bit.
Like strict piano teacher,
Yeah, she thought we needed our eyesight checked because we couldn't read the notes. But
oh, look at us now.
Yeah, that was fun. And so in middle school, Simon started really taking up drums, and then Cooper actually used to play guitar, right?
Yeah, on and off, yeah.
Yeah. And then we found this program called School of Rock. And the first thing we got to do, actually, because we only had like a couple kids that were interested because it was like a brand new program, they actually needed people to play with Roger Waters from Pink Floyd, who was coming to the CenturyLink to play a show. So they called School of Rock, and they were like, do you have anyone that would be able to like sing this song with them on stage? And they were like, yeah, we have like about 10 kids. Like, my brothers were the only ones in it, but they needed more people, so my parents were like, do you want to do it? And I was like, sure. So we got to actually sing Another Brick in the Wall with him on stage. And that was the first thing we did, and we all thought it was the coolest thing ever, because, like, you're on stage and on the CenturyLink stage, that's amazing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you guys are involved in music, you're all taking piano lessons, you start moving to drums, you're playing the guitar a bit, you stuck with piano and a School of Rock thing along.
That's what got us into, playing the shows. And
that's what got us into really, like, playing in bands and stuff.
And from there.
Yeah, well, the boys first they first were enrolled, and then I got...
By this time, I was playing bass.
Yeah, Cooper had switched to bass, and they started doing it, and then I got a little jealous, and I was like, I feel like I could do that. Like, I think that'd be cool if I sang, so I told my mom I wanted to do it, so she signed me up, and that's when I realized that I really liked singing and performing, because it's something I've never done before. And at first it was really hard for me to sing in front of people because I was a very shy kid growing up.
Yeah, we all were.
We all were. And so being in that program was something that really taught us how to be a band and how to work with other kids and to be confident.
Right, so this School of Rock was a place to work with other people, with some mentors as well.
They put you in like a group of kids
and they would teach
for
you,
like a band.
Cover songs, and you'd play shows.
Right. Like classic rock cover songs. So
that was our main introduction into the whole music scene.
So we did that in middle school until like freshman year of high school.
And so then, is that when Clark & Company broke out? Or?
Well, so through School of Rock, we met a guitar player named Gage Clark, who was interesting. His last name was Clark, but he's not related to us, but it kind of worked out like that. So we were like we kind of learned how to do the whole band thing, the cover thing. So we were like, okay, why don't we start our own band? So we actually started this cover band called Strange Antics. It was a rock cover band, and we had
a few originals.
Yeah, and that's when I started writing music, because I kind of got tired of playing the covers, and I was like, I think I could.
Everybody plays covers.
Yeah.
We need
So we decided
Okay.
that we would start writing songs. So that's when I started to try to write songs. So we did that for a couple years until our sophomore year.
Strange Antics just didn't.
Yeah.
Well, I kind of realized that it wasn't really working for me to write these rock songs. I didn't like the guitar solos and the really loud, the
Right.
loud stuff. So actually, Clark and Company really started with this one song I wrote this one day. It's called When It's Raining. It's on the first album. And I wrote it, and it all just kind of like came together magically. It was kind of like a movie thing where you write it and you're like, oh my gosh, this is what I want to do.
So by writing that first song, then you were able to find your voice. You also find that it wasn't the rock and roll you're looking
Right.
for. You're trying to move away from that into your own sound, your own look and feel.
Mm-hmm.
And from that is when really Clark and Company started to take shape, pretty much.
Yes. I actually sent this song to my guitar player, and he said, okay, yeah, we need to add all this guitar. And that was the point where I was like, no, like I want it to be only piano. So that's when I was talking to Simon, and I was like, we could just do this with just the three of us.
Sure.
And that would work, just piano, bass, and drums. And it was a little scary for me because we always kind of had this guitar to kind of like hide behind. And it was kind of like a confidence thing for me because I wasn't always just like the only front person. I had like a guitar player too.
Right.
So it was all kind of on me to really like become like the front person and be very revealed.
So what did it take? I mean, how hard was it to break through that barrier of fear?
Well, the first show we did with just Clark and Company, I was so nervous because I wasn't very confident in my piano playing, or I had this whole new wave of songs that came, and I had
the first show wasn't even the first show. We were too nervous to just do it.
Yeah, we did have like Strange Antics, and then we did debut Clark and Company for like 4 songs.
Right. So,
Yeah.
But then-
so it was a soft introduction.
Yeah.
And you had the whole band with you at that point.
Yeah.
Yes.
Doing the Strange Antics covers and so forth, and you started working in some of your own work into it.
Yes,
Okay.
and that was, we were kind of wondering what people would think about it, but after the show, we had so many people come up to us and they're like, oh my gosh, like, this is great, you guys need to do this. This music is awesome. So we were like, okay, like, let's do this full time. So that summer, I wrote, like, every day, all day, and we practiced all the time, and we really got these songs down, and I feel like they were a lot more meaningful than anything we'd ever written. We took a long time to kind of make sure they sounded how we wanted to sound, and we worked together to make them our own thing. So that was really cool.
So you got the feedback that people really liked your new work, so you started writing more songs. Mm-hmm. What continued to build your confidence? What's helped you to build your confidence to move forward as Clark and Company?
I feel like the biggest thing for me is just when playing music for people and having them respond to it. So, like, they're like, oh, that one song that you played at this time, like, that really meant so much to me. And those are the things that just make it worth everything.
So it fuels you, but a lot of people, I talk to a lot of people who are afraid to go up on stage to give a speech or to stand up at a party and give a toast even or whatever. And yet you say that you feed off the audience and the energy to give you back, right? How do you channel that? How do you get rid of the butterflies, or do you get rid of the butterflies?
It was really hard at first. I think at this point we really don't get nervous anymore because I feel like we've become so confident within the support of everyone who's been supporting it over the past couple of years. Like, when it's new, you're like, oh, I don't know if people are going to like this. Like, I have no idea what the response is going to be. So that's where the nerves come from. But once you have a good foundation and you have people supporting you, then I feel like that goes away a little bit. And you start to really believe in yourself. Just because, like, response is so important. Just the support of everyone. Like, I always love our shows and how it brings people together. And it's just a great feeling. So that's what fuels it for me.
That's cool. What's been the hardest part of trying to move forward? Or has there been a hard part?
I guess it kind of evolves into, like, directions that I want to... Like, we started with more of a singer-songwriter sound with just the 3 of us. And it's kind of been, like, experimenting with different things. Like, we added horn players. And we recently just kind of experimented with strings and all that stuff. So that's been fun. And it kind of is just fueled by my, like, random thoughts of creativity. Like, last summer I really got into jazz and older music, and that's kind of how that came about.
And you can hear that on the styles between the 2 albums.
Yeah, the 2 albums
Right.
are very different.
Okay.
And it's interesting because it's kind of like the two phases that Clark and Company has gone through.
Right.
And now we're kind of going into another one for a new album.
Yeah.
Yeah, moving in a different direction or evolving
Yeah.
further even.
Well, and I think that's really important because you have to like have something that keeps fueling you to go further and further.
Something
And
that
what is that? What is it? What's feeling you to move forward?
I mean, music is so interesting to me, and the different styles of music that I love to experiment with. I love to just be inspired by different genres, by different like time periods of music, it's really interesting to me. And then I have people that come up to me that have lived when that music was popular, and they're like, "How did you come up with that? Because you're like 18." And I'm like, I listen to it, and then I try to make it like with kind of a modern twist, which is what I like to do. So I find that really interesting.
What's been the biggest surprise on the journey thus far?
I think probably just the response of our music, and a lot of times it's the audience, because we weren't really sure like what our audience was going to be when we first started, but it's actually like a lot of older people really like our music, which is great for me. I mean, you'd think that we would want like our age people enjoying our music, and some of them do, which is great, but I think it's great that like older people enjoy our music because we're young, and so it's a cool connection between the two.
Right.
I was really surprised on how fast and how successful it got. I was kind of skeptical going right in. I kind of liked the rock stuff, and I liked our guitar player. He's a good friend of mine. But then I was like, I don't know if this Clark and Company thing's a good idea. But then we got like these 2 albums, and we getting all these awards. Just the success.
It happened really fast.
Yeah. So that was really cool.
So you're surprised by the success, which is cool. Cooper, you have any surprises?
I really like how we can, in Clark and Company, the whole concept of Clark and Company is we're Clark, and then the company is just anyone we want to bring in that's a musician that fits our song.
Like the horns would be the company. And
so like you never get bored of the band because it can change. Like they don't care if we bring in new people or like let them go for a few songs.
It's very versatile.
Ever changing.
Oh, nice.
So
Okay.
it's surprising and it was fun.
That's cool. That's cool. You're pursuing your dream. It's happening. Things are falling in place. You're getting awards. You've got 2 CDs out, the third one coming. Mm-hmm. You evolved from a school for rock music that evolved into a pivotal event that got you started when you sang on stage, and then you had your initial band. Now you're into Clark and Company and growing. Other people out there trying to pursue their dreams. What advice do you have to them to encourage them to move forward? What thoughts you have to encourage other people?
I honestly think it's just so important just to make sure you do it and make sure you actually start your dream, because like we all have those times where we're like laying in bed at night and they're like, oh, it'd be so cool if I did this, but you go every day and you think about it and it makes you happy, but you never actually start it. And that's probably the biggest thing for me, is just like Clark and Company could have always just been an idea for me, and I could have kept doing the rock thing, but never actually tried to just have the 3 of us play, and then none of this would have ever happened. And usually if you have like a gut instinct and you know that you're passionate about it, it'll work out. Like if you're passionate enough, then you'll be successful. That's what I think.
Some advice that I have is just don't give up. I'm going to share a story tying into that. My brother and I would always, through middle school and high school, there were always jazz bands and ensembles that you would audition for, right? And Cooper was starting to play bass and I was playing drums, and we were, taking private lessons, and we would audition for these and we would never get in. And we didn't let that get us down. We just kept going. We kept re-auditioning, and we got in high school. But in middle school, we just could have said, oh, we're not good enough to get into these bands. We'll never make it. Let's just give up and go play sports or whatever. No, we kept doing, we kept practicing, and then we decided, oh, we don't need this jazz band thing. We can start our own group, and look what that's become. So just don't give up. There's always something more you can...
You finally got into it.
Yeah.
No, but that's a valuable story right there, that you ran into this obstacle, you're taking lessons, you're playing these instruments, you didn't make it.
Yeah.
And you could have easily walked away from it, but instead you took that and went a different direction and made it happen. That's great. Listen, this has been great. I thank you all for your time. I've got Simon and Sophie and Cooper Clark and Company. Their website is clarkcoband.com. I'm Dennis Hodges. Dream, believe, do. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was awesome.
Before you go, if you'd like a transcript of this podcast, please go to xpeli.com/blog. Also, I'd love to hear from you. Feel free to write me at dennis@xpeli.com or you can leave comments on expelly.com in the blog or contact areas. Finally, please follow us on social media. On Facebook at facebook.com/expelly, and on Twitter where I am at Dennis Hodges. Thanks.